Welcome to Ozarks Fox News at 9. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jennifer Abreu.
And I'm John Adams. We start off tonight with your top headlines. These stories are real new now. The FBI is reporting a 72% uptick in tips called in to its National Threat Operations Center in the wake of the mass shootings in El Paso and Dayton. More than 24 people have been arrested since August the 4th for making threats or stockpiling weapons.
A judge in Oklahoma finding Johnson & Johnson liable in a lawsuit claiming the drug maker helped to cause the opioid epidemic. The company was ordered to pay the state of Oklahoma more than $572 million. The lawsuit says Johnson & Johnson spread misinformation to doctors and the public using deceptive marketing of the potent painkillers and ultimately causing overdoses.
And bottles of drinking water are being distributed in Newark, New Jersey. On the same day, the mayor announced that $120 million will go towards replacing pipes that are contaminating water, the drinking water there, with lead. The replacement program has already begun, but it could take up to 10 years to complete.
New at 9 tonight, an ongoing trial on Missouri's voter identification law is expected to be decided soon.
Our Madison Heaver has more on what's happening in this trial. Madison.
John, the trial began last week. The NAACP, Missouri's ACLU, and the League of Women Voters of Missouri have teamed up against the state, saying Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft did not provide enough money to properly educate voters of the changes in Missouri's voter ID law. Joan Gentry is with the League of Women Voters of Missouri. It's part of the lawsuit challenging Missouri's voter ID law.
Did not educate people enough and did not provide the amount of funding necessary to do a quality kind of education.
Missouri's voter ID law went into effect in 2017. It originally required voters without a valid photo ID to sign a sworn statement and provide another form of identification to cast a regular ballot. But recent court filings have blocked some of the law by taking out the requirement to sign an affidavit and instead also offers the option to cast a provisional ballot. That's when there are some questions about a voter's eligibility that must be answered before the vote can count.
The League of Women Voters feels that a photo ID is an unnecessary form of identification for voters. We're vetted when we, register to vote. We get our voter ID cards then. It's too difficult for people, particularly if you're elderly, if you're poor, if you're a minority, if you're a student, it's difficult to obtain that photo voter ID if you're not a driver. And for some people, who work 2 or 3 jobs a week, voting then is put on a low priority in terms of getting that ID.
Attorneys for the state say Ashcroft's 18-month informational campaign easily surpassed the minimum requirement of education.
Their definition of more than adequately is probably different than ours.
In the court filing, state attorneys said Ashcroft visited every county in the state, aired over 100,000 TV and radio ads statewide, published notices in newspapers in each county, ran millions of online ads through social media, and sent thousands of mailers to voters.
I think the League's position is primarily it's an unnecessary burden that's being placed on people regardless of the level of education.
Gentry said a decision was supposed to be made last Friday, but that hasn't happened yet. It's in a county court right now, but the decision could also be appealed to a higher court. Secretary Ashcroft's office says it will not be commenting on the trial until a decision is made.
Thanks, Madison. We have new information for you tonight. A juvenile has been charged with murder, accused of stabbing a man to death. His name has not been released yet, but police say he killed 43-year-old Craig Dorser last Wednesday night. Right now, the case is being handled in the Greene County Juvenile Court System, but could be transferred to an adult court. A detention hearing is set for tomorrow afternoon. Anyone with information on this incident is asked to call Springfield Police.
And we have a traffic report for you tonight. MoDOT is changing plans for the Highway 65 rebuild between Sunshine and James River Freeway. The entire highway will now be shut down, but the work will be done a few days sooner than previously planned. Work on northbound 65 begins next Friday, September the 6th. Northbound 65 will be closed between James River Freeway and Sunshine Street. Now, the new plan, no lanes will be open while crews replace the pavement. MoDOT says this means the contractor will be able to get the work done in 10 days instead of the scheduled 15, as long as the weather stays good.
Looking at political coverage tonight, the fate of a new abortion law in Missouri that would ban abortions after 8 weeks of pregnancy will be determined tomorrow. U.S. District Judge Howard Sachs will issue an order after hearing arguments from Planned Parenthood and the ACLU. A motion was filed seeking a temporary restraining order on the new law. The organization say previous rulings have shown the law is unconstitutional.
Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmidt, along with other GOP attorneys general, are wading into a legal fight regarding discrimination. The group of AGs signed a U.S. Supreme Court brief saying that federal law does not protect LGBTQ people from discrimination. They say that when the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was passed, sex discrimination did not include transgendered individuals and are now calling on Congress and the Supreme Court to change that. The cases are scheduled to be heard by the U.S. Supreme Court in October.
In medical news, an effort to make sure people are vaccinated against hepatitis A. Missouri health officials signed a contract to pay the state's primary care association to focus on getting more young people to receive vaccines. Contract talks began before health officials warned last week that a hepatitis A outbreak could grow worse if it spreads to urban areas. The Greene County Health Department is offering low-cost vaccines. You can get them through a walk-in visit on Wednesdays from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Harold Bench Building on East Chestnut Expressway. You can also make an appointment by calling the number on your screen. The funding for these free vaccines will last through September 15th.
Well, making local news tonight, a community is banding together in hopes of solving a nearly 40-year-old murder case. A woman whose body was found in Pulaski County has never been identified, and her killer has never been found. But there is a new effort to solve that case. Officials say their hope is for family members of the Jane Doe to finally receive closure. Detective Douglas Renault says technology was very limited back in the 1980s when she was found, and they relied on eyewitness accounts. Unfortunately, no one was able to identify her at the time. But now they have the DNA Doe Project, which was created in 2017. The project works to identify victims of automobile accidents, homicide, and other unusual circumstances.
Just like a missing person. If a person's missing and we don't know where they are, if they're a family member, we have concern. And so this person is probably, her family members, all they know is she's missing.
Renault says there are currently 45 sets of unidentified remains in the state of Missouri.
Looking around the region now, here in the Ozarks, we are preparing for some severe weather tonight. But in St. Louis County, they have already seen the effects of what heavy rain can do. Multiple roads had to be shut down today. One road in St. Charles County was actually washed out, and officials say it could take some time to repair that section of the roadway. Flooding even caused Rockwood and Washington school districts to cancel classes for the day.
And Beth, you are tracking those severe storms, and one of these cells is about to move into our viewing area pretty soon.
Yeah, we've got one severe thunderstorm warning on the map for parts of Jasper and Newton County. That cell was tornado warned in Kansas, so definitely keeping a close eye on that. We're not done with the severe threat. We're going to keep those chances through the evening and overnight hours. We'll do timing and modes of severe weather possible right after the break.